How to read your human design body graph 103. Okay, so in this video you will be learning the core aspects and the insights. Okay, but before that, show reel. Pranam, Namaste, my name is Garret. Before I start the topic off, please make sure you guys remember to hit like, subscribe and comment your learnings in the comment section below. I'm dedicated to make 4 videos a week to spread more light and positivity out there to the world. It's also nice to know where you guys are tuning in from so we could actually connect within this space, okay? So, without further ado, let's head into the topic of lesson 103 of this human design body graph, okay? So, just so you guys know, if you have not watched both the lesson 101 and 102, please, I urge you to go and watch it because these 2 videos are the most fundamentals and it will explain the foundations and the mechanics, the most basically the fundamental components of this human design. Okay, so including the different parts like that make up your human design chart and what they actually mean, including the meaning of the colors, the lines and the shapes, and actually the numbers that you see. Okay, so all those are actually explained in lesson 102. Okay, 101 is basically the introduction of human design body graph. So if you're watching this by chance and then this video you basically is a little bit too deep for you, you need to go back and revisit those 2 actually to learn your basics first. Okay, so definitely go and watch both of that videos and gain the basic knowledge of that. Okay, so I'll leave a link in the description below so for you to actually watch those 2 videos. Okay, so by the end of this video, okay, my objective is that you would be able to actually determine your type, your strategy and your authority and your profile just by looking at your chart. Okay, so from just understanding these 4 main components, right, you will understand what insights can actually be gathered from each of these components and what they actually mean for you. Okay, so you would also likely feel much more confident and comfortable looking at your chart and then not be overwhelmed. Okay, that's the most prime objective of this making of this whole series on human design. Okay, so without further ado, let me hop on to my laptop to run through this whole lesson for you. Okay, so what I will be sharing today is just going to still be the tip of the iceberg with human design, because I don't want to make this lesson too complicated and too long anyway, but it's gonna be long anyway, so okay. But nonetheless valuable so that you can actually start interpreting your chart and then identify what parts you're looking at as well as understand what insights you can gain from them. Okay, and so given the sheer volume of this information in human design, I obviously won't have time to go over all these strategies, authorities and profiles. But nonetheless, just make sure you guys are with your chart right now so we could actually follow along this lesson. Okay, so most people would most likely be questioning where should I actually start in human design, or what are the more important aspects of human design to actually understand. So I wanted to share with you what I believe to be the 4 most important aspects of your human design chart that you should actually start to understand and actually help you gain insights. Okay, they can actually provide you with, as well as how you could actually identify them just by looking at your chart alone. Okay, chart just by being looking at here. So this part is actually the cheat code already, so they already tell you. Okay, and the 4 parts are actually the type, okay, and the strategy here, the authority over here, as well as your profile underneath the authority. Okay, And just knowing and understanding these 4 core aspects, right, is basically enough for you to do a basic reading and unlock so much insight and wisdom to start experimenting with, really create a pretty powerful transformation for yourself or even for other people if you're reading it for. Okay, so starting with your type, right? Okay, basically your type. First of all, your design type, right, refers to the design of your aura. You can also see that see this as the mechanics of your energetic body. You know, some people like to call it type, others like to call it aura type, or some other people like to call it energy type. We can actually use them interchangeably, so they really all refer to the same thing. Okay, so each type has a different way of basically operating energetically in this world. Okay, so we need to understand that there's many other ways that different people have different energy types to actually help them operate in this world. Okay, you know, some have actually more powerful push characteristics, and while others have actually more magnetic qualities. Some have sustainable energy while others are much more prone to burnout. But it's when you understand your specific aura, right, and how your aura works, that you can actually learn how to leverage these qualities and information to move through life with so much more ease and flow. Okay, so looking at this website from Jovian Archive, right, I'll be leaving some of these links in the description box for you guys to refer, so you could actually refer back for when you're doing your own chart reading. Okay, so it's going to be really helpful for you. So strategy, right, is basically for different classes. When you already know, once you key in your chart details, right, you will be told which likely you fall belong under generators, MG, a manifesting generator, a manifester, a projector, or reflector. Okay, so each of them, right, they will have their own strategy. Okay, so I would say that strategies, right, are based on the energetic characteristics of that type, and so that the strategy is basically your specific user manual, okay, for operating in this world. So in other words, right, you know how you're meant to welcome success and minimize resistance in your life and basically business, so that you could really be in your natural flow, not the society's flow, but it's really a tool for helping you reconnect to your own natural and authentic flow. Okay, so you know, most of you are already familiar with your strategy, so the moment you key in, right, you will already tell you over here. So this person Harry, right, the strategy is to wait for the invitation because he belongs to the projector. Okay, so how is your design type and strategy determined? Well, your strategy, just like I mentioned, is based on your specific design type, and your design type is based on the unique definition of your chart. In other words, what energy centers and channels are activated and actually connected. Okay, so all of this are your energy centers, like I mentioned in 102, as well as your channels that are connecting all these energy centers. They would actually tell you what type you belong to, and then by knowing your type, you will link to knowing your strategy. Okay, so over here you would be able to see what are the specific strategies for each respective class, for the invitation, for the projectors, manifestors to inform. Okay, so all these are the understanding of strategy. Okay, so without just looking at this cheat code, right, let me share with you a way for you to better understand this, how we could actually get this information just by looking at your body graph. Okay, so first I want to highlight the 3 main characteristics that you'll want to notice and observe when looking at the body graph chart, okay, in order for you to identify a person's type, okay, without looking at this whole segment of this cheat code. Okay, so number 1, whether they have defined energy centers. Okay, because if all of these are just white, right, then right away you will know it is a reflector. Okay, reflectors basically got no defined energy centers. Okay, number 2, whether they have a defined sacral chakra. Okay, so that is number 2. Number 3, right, is whether they have a motto. Mottos are basically all these 4, right? Okay, that are directly or indirectly connected to the throat. So whenever you hear me referring to motto centers, right, or anyone else referring to motto centers, it will always be one of these 4 energy centers. Okay, the sacral, the heart is over here, then the solar plexus, okay, as well as the root center over here. Okay, so these are the 4 main energy centers. Okay, because these are the 4 energy centers that create energy for taking action. So some people also call them the motivational centers. So again, sacral, the solar plexus, the heart, as well as the root. Okay, so these 4 pieces. Okay, we're gonna go through an example of each of the 5 types to actually show you how you can tell which type is what, just by looking at the body graph based on these 3 criteria that I've actually mentioned. Okay, so the generators. So starting off with generators, right, you will most likely know right away if a generator or a MG just by looking at the sacral. Okay, so if it's not defined, it will be one of the other 3 types. But if it's defined, you know right away it is a generator or an MG. So you can see from here, sacral center must be defined. Okay, no motor center connected directly to the throat. Okay, so this is the easiest way for you to recognize a generator. Okay, and so the difference between a generator and a manifesting generator. Okay, so this is a manifesting generator. Is that a generator does not have a motor connection to the throat. So if you look at it, the generator over here, they do not have a connection to the throat. Okay, so it is not connected directly or indirectly to the throat. So they do not have a solar plexus. Okay, they do not have a sacral center or a heart center or a root center connecting to the throat. So you will notice that it's not actually connected. Okay, indirectly or directly. And that said, right, a generator can still have a defined throat just like in this chart. Okay, the only difference is that it will not be connected to any of all these 4 motors that you see over here. Okay, and so to summarize, right, that these 2 distinguishing characteristics of a generator are they have a defined sacral center, and number 2, that there is no motor connection to the throat. Okay, this is actually indicated over here. Okay, directly or indirectly, no connection to the throat. So looking at the manifesting generator, and so next we have our manifesting generator, right? So again, with an MG, you know it's an MG for 2 reasons. So number 1, same thing, there will be a defined sacral center. In contrast to generators, there will be a motor center that would actually connect to the throat. Okay, any motor centers basically connecting to the throat would mean that this is a MG straight away. So my baby girl Kira is actually an MG. So yeah, quite a unique mixture. So in this case, right, you have the sacral directly connected to the throat center, would mean that this is an MG. Okay, so next, right, we come to the projector. Projectors, right, will not have a defined sacral, which represents that that the workforce or that life force energy. Okay, hence they actually lack this sustainable energy, unlike the generators. Okay, and the manifesting generators. Plus, they do not have a motor connection to the throat. Okay, so no motor centers directly connected to the throat. Sacral also is not defined. So this means they are the class of projectors. So to summarize, right, that the two distinguishing characteristics of a projector just by looking at the body graph, okay, and that are that, okay, number one, they have no defined sacral, okay, and number two, they do not have any of these motor centers connected to the throat centers, okay. So next we go on to the manifestors, okay. So manifestors on the other hand, right, is just like the manifesting generators, so who has a motor connected to the throat, okay, whether directly or indirectly. And you know that the throat center is what represents communication and manifestations, right? So however, the difference is that it does not have a defined sacral, okay, does not have a defined sacral. And to summarize, right, that the two distinguishing characteristics of a manifestor are that they don't have a defined sacral, and that they do have a motor connection to the throat, okay, either the heart or either you would see the solar plexus or the root will be connected to the throat. It's never going to be the sacral, because if it's connected to the sacral, right, that would make it an MG straight away, a manifesting generator, okay. So last but not least, we have our reflectors, which are by far the easiest way to identify, because right away you look at them, you can see they have zero defined centers. In other words, all of these shapes are totally white. So if you see this on your body graph, right, it's not broken, you are just a reflector. So don't be afraid of it, don't be shocked, okay. So it is just the characteristics of the reflectors, okay. So a quick recap of how you can actually identify just by looking at the body graph or just by looking at the definition. So in general, aside from reflectors, right, since that's the easiest to spot, okay, you straight away you see no energy centers are defined, right, then you will know it is a reflector, okay. And to spot the primary features is to help you to check whether they belong to which category is number one, if they have a defined sacral, or if it's defined or not, okay. So that's number one. And number two, if this motors, any of these motors, right, have a connection to the throat, okay. So if there's a motor connection to the throat or not is one of another criteria to help you see whether they belong to the generators or the manifesting generators or the manifestors or even the projectors, okay. So moving on to the next most important component to understand in your human design chart is your authority, okay, along with your strategy type are the two most powerful things that you can take away to start to experiment with in human design. Your authority, right, is basically your decision making tool for making decisions that are correct for you and how you can actually connect to your truth. So how you connect to your intuition and know your authority really gives you insight into how you actually best connect to your intuition and how you can actually experience it. And the idea in human design is that your logical mind is not the most reliable source for decision making, because your mind is always highly influenced, right, by your conditioning and the fears, and often talks you out of doing the things that are actually best for you. So you know the mind only works on a binary. It can only compare one thing to another, but it can't necessarily help you arrive to what's going to be the most fulfilling for you, okay. So you can just look at this chart over here. This is an important chart to actually help you understand, okay, because you know we all experience our intuition differently, right? So it's not always about having this gut feeling, okay. In fact, some people have a full body in the moment response, while other needs to be given more time in order to sort of achieve this clarity and actually connect to their truth. And so in human design, right, there are about 7 types of authority. 5 of these authority types are called the inner authority. So these 5 at the front are considered the inner authority. So you have an internal way or internal means of coming to decisions and basically connecting to your intuition. 2 of them are what we call the no authority, which basically means that the way you actually connect your intuition is based on some kind of external process of your environment. Just like your design type, right? And the type of authority you have is also determined on your chart, okay? And so for the inner authority, right, there is basically an energetic hierarchy of these centers going from the most, I guess you could say, potent energy to the least, starting from the most potent, which is the solar plexus. Okay, solar plexus over here, which is all about emotional, passionate energy, going down to the least potent, okay, at the G center. And whichever you have defined, that is the highest on this list downwards. Okay, so highest being emotional being the highest, then that is gonna be your authority. So just an example, right? If you have a solar plexus, okay, let me give you an example of, okay, so here. So if you have a solar plexus defined in your chart, just like this one, okay, you will automatically have this emotional authority, okay? So it doesn't matter if you have the sacral or the spleen or the heart or the G center, okay, defined, because the solar plexus creates the most potent energy. Therefore, you will have what we call the emotional authority, okay? And so, looking at this next example, okay, basically looking at it, right, from the list of the most potent to the least potent, what is the highest, right? And the highest that results through this definition is going to be the sacral center, okay? Because we don't have the solar plexus defined, okay? So then this would be the second most powerful out of the list, okay? The sacral, okay? So next, when it comes to the last 2 types over here, okay, who are considered no authority, these are pretty easy to sort of spot, okay? So for mental authority, right, you will know that you have mental authority because there is 0 definition below the throat, okay? In other words, right, you only potentially have the head or the ajna or the throat colored in your chart. And so for the lunar authority, right, this authority is exclusive to reflectors, and this you'll easily be able to spot if they have 0 definition, okay? So in other words, right, like all other white centers that you see here, okay, and so that wraps up the 7 authorities and how to actually identify them out by looking at just the chart. If you have any questions, please make sure you drop them down in the comments below, and I'll do my best to address your questions, because I think I'm jumping about different links over here, so you could I could actually do a better explanation if you got specific questions, okay? And last but not least, right, we are gonna go over the 4th most important component to understand, and that is your profile over here, okay? So your profile in human design, right, is basically the role or the character that you came to play here in this lifetime. It's your personality in this storyline of your life, okay? So profiles, right, are actually one of those things in human design, right, that we can't really do anything about. But nonetheless, it actually gives you the insight, okay, into how you think and learn how you know your life path and how you actually move around in this world. Basically how you approach life, and it can give you this perspective as to why we are the way we are, so that we can gain a deeper awareness of yourself. Okay, you know how to basically clear up any potential inner conflict and also become more self-accepting, more self-understanding. And so your personality profile is made up of these different numbers from 1 to 6 that forms what looks like a fraction. And each of these numbers, right, are called lines, which originate from the hexagram of the Chinese I-ching. And each of these lines represent a different archetypal in human design. An archetype basically describes certain patterns or behaviors, or in other words, a very typical example or a certain thing or person, very similar to what you would find with astrological signs or personality tests, just like the MBTI Enneagram. Actually, all this information in human design, right, is based on some kind of archetypal information. Okay, so your profile specifically is determined by the gates, okay, which where your conscious sun, okay, conscious sun over here, and earth, conscious earth over here. So the first two squares of the black, okay, and also the unconscious sun and unconscious earth, okay, found in the first two upper squares of the black and the red. Okay, so looking back at this chart, right, if you take the decimal number on the right side, so this one would from your conscious personality side, right, then you take this number, decimal number on the left, and you put them together, right, then that's where you get the profile number. So you see 37.6, right, so 6 would make the first number over here. Then if you make 5.2, and this would make the second fraction of the number, which will be the second number of your profile. So there you go, you will have your profile. So it's very simple explanation onto how you can actually determine what your profile is just by looking at your chart. Okay, so usually the first number on the fraction comes from the conscious side. So remember, this represents your conscious personality, right, the black side. Okay, your mind, how you think, how you see yourself. And then the second number that comes from the unconscious side, right, over here, represents the unconscious design, the red part. Okay, your body, how you experience the physical world, but also how others see you, basically. Okay, so all together, right, these 6 lines actually make up a total of 12 different human design archetypes. Okay, or in other words, 12 different profiles. Okay, as you can see over here. And this can give you insight into your destiny and life path as well. Okay, so if the first number, right, on your profile is lower than your second number, okay, as you can see over here, right, then you will have a personal destiny. So what is a personal destiny? So personal destinies are basically over here. Okay, a personal destiny is more of a life path of self-growth, self-discovery. So if your first number in your profile is higher than the second number, then you will have a fixed fate or a transpersonal destiny. So over here, as you can see here. So a fixed fate, right, destiny basically means that you have this kind of fixed trajectory throughout life. So some people like to call this like the bonus life, where you know you basically are here to just do your own thing and not necessarily be focused or bothered on that self-discovery journey or with helping others. But not to say that you can't do either of these two, but you're not meant to be influenced by the other people around you. Okay, you're meant to kind of just go on your fixed trajectory throughout life, and then going into this transpersonal destiny. This basically means that you have this life path of serving and helping others. Okay, again, we don't have time to go over every single one of all these profiles, because but I've actually shared some links which you can actually have a brief description. I'll be sharing all these links that you could just look and actually read through to help you basically quickly understand. Okay, so do share in the comment sections if you would like to learn more on the profiles. Then I will make a video separate to talk about all these individual profiles out of these 12 profiles. Okay, and now that wraps up all these 3 most important aspects that you should begin to understand in human design. So just by knowing and understanding these 3 aspects, right, is enough for you to do a basic reading for your charts, for your charts, also for your clients, also for your friends and families. Okay, so they can really help you unlock so much insight and wisdom to actually start experimenting with and really create these powerful transformations. Okay, so thus far I've covered most of the important components and mechanics, including how the body graph is calculated, what all those colors, numbers, lines and things mean as well. Okay, so you probably link all of this up, you could actually be able to read your chart. Okay, so once again, this whole entire lesson has come to a very long video as well, so I hope you learn quite a lot of all these components and all this understanding on human design so far, and I'm pretty sure you could really do the basics of your own reading of your chart. Okay, so do share with me in your in the comment section about what you feel you want to learn a little bit more, so that I could actually produce my contents based on that. So especially for Samantha from my TikTok. Okay, so just let me know if you watch my videos and let me know what are the things that you want to explore more further. But I would delve into other components of human design just bit by bit, so that you guys can follow through into creating your own human design. Okay, just to understand more of your insights and so on. And one of the best ways is you could also do a reading with me, so I could actually create an entire profile reading for you. Do one whole entire reading that actually would be able to basically tell you all about your own life. Okay, so that is one of the shortcuts also. Okay, so without that, you be able to do it yourself by following me through all these videos. Then you'll be able to do it yourself. Okay, so that's the DIY method. Another shortcut method is to engage me. I can do a profile reading for you. Okay, but of course I have to charge. Okay, so with that, I hope you learned something from this video. If you do, please share your comments, share your learnings in the comment section below. Okay, with that, I'm ending this video off. Pranam, namaste.